Hi, and welcome back to the second hour of National Day of Prayer edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Glad to have you call in and offer your prayer for our country over the course of the second hour. We are going to move on and talk about some additional topics, but we want you to know you can cycle back to that if you would like and offer a brief prayer. We've had some great prayers that have just been model prayers for what we're looking for that have been offered on behalf of this country. By the way, I read a story this morning about a National Day of Prayer in Britain in 1940. Remember, the British soldiers, several hundred thousand of them, had literally had their backs to the English Channel in 1940 as the French surrendered and the Germans were pushing them literally into the sea. King George VI called and the Prime Minister, Lord Halifax, he wasn't the Prime Minister, I forget what his exact title was, but Lord Halifax, when Winston Churchill assumed the role of Prime Minister, he called for a National Day of Prayer. Now, Winston was not a real religious guy, but he went along with it. He was kind of reluctant, but he went with everybody to, Westminster Abbey, I believe is where they had it, for this National Day of Prayer. This is now at the time when the British troops were backed up at Dunkirk with their backs to the English Channel, and it looked like they were going to be decimated and the war would be over basically before it started, because that was the heart and the core of the British Army. They would have lost their ability. They would have had the manpower to defend themselves. King George called for this day of prayer. Winston Churchill went along with it. And then what happened is, even though the Germans had the British backed up to the sea, they did not swoop down on London, which was undefended because all of the soldiers were in France, had an opportunity to attack London with paratroopers completely undefended. For some reason, he didn't do it. And for some reason, Adolf Hitler ordered the tanks to stop in France. Again, still to this day, nobody knows why he did this. They're backed up to the sea, completely vulnerable, completely exposed, but he orders the tanks to be called off. The English Channel in the days of late May is normally pretty stormy. On that day, it was calm as a mill pond. You had all these ships. You had 22 vessels of the Royal Navy, 91 passenger ships, mosquito fleet of small fishing boats, tugboats, ferry boats, sailboats, and they all were able to ferry 335,000 troops across the English Channel. And you can say it's just coincidence that London wasn't attacked by paratroopers, that Hitler called off the tank attack, that the English Channel was unusually calm, but it happened right after that National Day of Prayer. 888-589-8840, number to call. Rob, I want to grab clip 8 because I want to get into this Benghazi business. Let's do clips 8 and 9, then we'll take some couple of phone calls. This is a General Benjamin Lovett. He was the AFRICOM commander in charge of all of the military assets in Africa. That would include Libya as part of North Africa, where Benghazi is. And he's giving testimony that's from this morning about what was going on in Benghazi. And he said an interesting thing here, very, very important what he reveals in this soundbite. I don't remember who was asking him the question. Jason Chaffetz might have asked him the next question. But here is soundbite number 1. General Lovell, clip 8, talking about what happened on the night of the Benghazi attack.
The predisposition to interagency influence had the military structure in the spirit of expeditionary government support, waiting for a request for assistance from the State Department. There are accounts of time, space, and capability, discussions of the question, could we have gotten there in time to make a difference? Well, the discussion is not could or could not of time, space, and capability. The point is we should have tried. As another saying goes, always move to the sound of the guns. We didn't know how long this would last when we became aware of the distress, nor did we completely understand what we had in front of us, be it a kidnapping, rescue, recovery, protracted hostile engagement, or any or all of the above. But what we did know quite early on was that this was a hostile action. This was no demonstration gone terribly awry. To the point of what happened, the facts led to the conclusion of a terrorist attack.
So this is the AFRICOM guy in charge of all our military assets in North Africa. He says, look, that we should have done something. We should have responded, but we didn't because we were waiting. We couldn't act until we got a request from the State Department, a request for assistance. These were State Department assets, State Department facilities. We could not move until they asked us for help, and they never did. We sat there waiting for a request for assistance from the State Department. We never got it. Our hands were tied. We were stuck because Hillary Clinton and whoever was helping her make these decisions at the State Department did not ask us for help, and consequently 4 Americans died. And he said, I don't know how long it would have taken us to get there, but we didn't have any way of knowing how long that engagement was going to last. We had no idea what the situation on the ground was. But in the military, you move to the sound of guns. The guns were firing. We should have moved. That's what you do when you have military assets, and we did not do it. Why? Our hands were tied by Hillary Clinton and the State Department. Then clip number 9, he said, look, my job was to find out who was responsible for this. He said, we knew right away this was a terrorist attack. Jason Chaffetz follows up with him and says, okay, what were these attacks attributable to?
What do you believe they were attributable to?
That they were attributable to an Islamist extremist group.
Al-Qaeda?
We felt it was Ansar al-Sharia.
Which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda?
Yes.
AQIM, were they involved?
The AAS is who we most principally looked at, but all of the groups at large.
How quickly did you come to the conclusion that you believed that there were Al-Qaeda affiliates or Al-Qaeda themselves involved and engaged in this attack?
Very, very soon, when we were still in the very early hours of this activity.
Was it a video?
No, sir.
Was it a video that sparked a protest?
No, sir.
So this General Lovell says, look, we knew right away, almost immediately, that this was a terrorist attack. We knew almost immediately this was Ansar al-Sharia, which is an al-Qaeda affiliate in Libya. We knew that right away. We knew right away that a video had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on in Benghazi. We come back after the break. We'll start off with your phone calls, but then I want to get back to this topic of Benghazi because Lovell said, look, we knew, or Lovell, rather, sorry, he knew right away. We knew right away in the military, AFRICOM, that this was a terrorist attack. Al-Qaeda was involved. These were Muslim terrorists. It wasn't a demonstration. It was a planned, coordinated attack. We knew that a video had absolutely nothing to do with this whatsoever at all, and we knew that immediately. You know, that means that when Susan Rice went on those talk shows on Sunday morning, she knew it was all a lie. She knew that the military was saying this was, she knew that the military was saying that this was a terrorist attack from Al-Qaeda, and the video had nothing to do with it. Well, why did she go out and lie? Well, it's transparent now that this was political in nature. Because remember, that was in the middle of a presidential campaign. That was September 11, 2012. People were going to vote in less than 2 months. And President Obama had been out there telling everybody, Al-Qaeda's on the run. We've got their leadership decimated. They're scattered. They're not a threat anymore. Bin Laden is dead. Al-Qaeda's on the run. Look at me. Now, here's Al-Qaeda taking out 4 American diplomatic personnel. Couldn't have that message going out 2 months before an election. Focal Point AFR Talk.